have you had an encounter with the king or queen of the forest and you'd like to hear it narrated on this channel? Well, if so, send me an email with all the details. You can send it to contact@buckeyebigfoot.com. Well, hey there, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Now, the horses are already outside, waiting and ready. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and get started on our journey down into Sasquatch Valley. Are you ready? Me too. Let's go. Oh, wait. Don't forget your snackage. And while you're in the kitchen getting your snackage, get a couple extra apples for the horse, would you? All right. Now we can go. Let's go. My name is Angie. Me and my husband Keith are a couple that are in our late 30s. Keith is from South Dakota, but we met and live in my home state of Wisconsin. We're pretty basic normies as far as people go, and we don't lead exciting, adventurous lives, but we're both content and pleased with the life that we share together. It's a life without children. However, we have 4 cats that we love dearly, and that's all we need, at least for now. One thing we both get pumped up about is watching the Steve Wallace channel on YouTube. If you're unaware, he's a guy from Canada that seemingly loves camping as often as possible when time allows. One type of camping that piqued the interest of me and my husband was stealth camping, which we didn't really know was even a thing until we saw videos of it on his channel. As it implies, it's a type of sneaky camping where you try to be near or amongst people without them being aware that you're there nearby. A couple of examples I'll use from his channel are camping inside a roundabout that has foliage for camouflage and camping behind a billboard. This really intrigued us, and it was something me and the hubby wanted to try ourselves. Once that was settled and that we agreed to do it, the next decision to make was where to go. We were kicking around ideas about different cities in Wisconsin and almost settled on Eau Claire, but then Keith mentioned South Dakota, since we would be there in April to visit with his mother and stepdad. They're near Rapid City, so we ultimately decided that this would be where we would have our inaugural stealth camping adventure, and that we'd do it after our visit with his family concluded, and before returning back home to Wisconsin. We planned out all of the pertinent details, made arrangements for a close friend to take care of our kitties while we were away. I'm going to skip past the part of the visit with my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law, since it's not really relevant to the story, and I'll just say that we had a nice time with them and that it made my husband very happy. I don't want to be too specific with where me and Keith decided to try our luck at stealth camping, although beforehand I did my research, and I found that it was on public property and that we were close to a street with houses, as well as the Theodore Roosevelt Expressway itself. When it was still daylight, we parked our car in a nearby lot, donned blaze orange vests that said tree services across the back, put on matching white hard hats, and then walked around the area, surveying where we thought would be a good spot where we could blend in and not be seen, yet also not be too deep in the wooded area. I noticed there were people in the distance milling around, but none seemed to be paying any attention to us, which was perfect as far as me and Keith were concerned. With the sunlight finally fading, we returned to our car and retrieved our camping supplies from the trunk before going to the spot that we'd picked out to stealth camp in. We didn't think we'd need much for a short night in the woods, so it was just the basics. Keith tied off a small olive and green tarp between 2 trees so we would not be spotted from the nearby houses. It wasn't necessary to have any such visual protection from the expressway, since we believed we were deep enough in the woods so as not to be seen by passing vehicles. Behind the tarp, we laid out our bedroll on the ground and our wool blanket on top of it. We didn't bring any food since we were both still full from a big meal earlier, but we did have a large jug of water and a couple of LED flashlights. When it got dark, We laid on top of the bedroll and unfolded the blanket and got under it. This felt to me like one of our date nights, there together, just talking and holding each other tight, with nature all around us and breathing in the cool night air. I remember being very relaxed and comfortable with my husband at my side, and I eventually fell asleep before I'd realized it. The next thing I knew, Keith was softly but firmly shaking me awake from my slumber. I asked him what was up, and he said something had thrown a handful of loose dirt at us. Being a sound sleeper, I didn't even notice, but I felt the top of the blanket, and it sure felt like dirt. I put my fingers in my hair, and I felt dirt in there as well. That's when I reached down to my side for my flashlight. Keith had managed to turn his on a few seconds before I did the same with mine. We looked at the blanket, and then around ourselves, and it seemed to be a large amount of dirt that was present. We were trying to figure out what the heck was happening when another shower of dirt was hurled at us from the darkness. The hubby and I were pelted once again with it spraying our faces, the blanket, and the tarp which was behind us. Intuitively, we synchronized our flashlights at about the same time in the area we thought the dirt came in from. We then saw something that surprised us both, and which got us into watching cryptid channels along with the stealth camping videos. That's when we saw a brown, fur-covered female Sasquatch that was trying to hide behind a tree that was much too small to hide her body. My hubby and I were at a complete loss for words, and we just sat there, gobsmacked. When the flashlight beams were on her, she let out a low woofing noise and began to sway a little from one side to the other as she showed us her teeth. She then screamed at us, pivoted, turning completely around, and then ran faster than any human I've ever seen, deeper into the woods before disappearing from our sight. People like details, so I'll give you what both my hubby and I saw, and this we agreed on. The face was flat, a mix between that of a human and that of a gorilla. Her face was wide and broad, although she didn't have any fur on her cheeks. I didn't notice her eyes as much as the prominent brow ridge, which she did have. It was similar to that of a Neanderthal. Her teeth didn't seem to be dirty, and the canines were visible, and more like you'd see on a mandrill rather than on a human. She had large breasts, and her arms and hands went down below the knees. She was also very muscular, and we could clearly see the definition of those muscles under her fur. I'm not very good at estimating heights, but Keith is, and he said he thought she was between 6 feet 6 inches and 6 feet 8 inches tall. He also said he didn't think there's a man alive in the NFL capable of tackling her. After she left, it wasn't too long until sunrise. We packed up what few items we had and left, got in our car, and drove home. We are not scared, and we realize we share this world with things both explained and unexplained. Since that time, hubby and I have stealth camped 3 more times and will continue to do so. Thanks bunches. Signed, Angie and Keith. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for stopping by tonight and having a listen to Angie and Keith's story. I especially thank you for staying with me all the way to the end. I know it was a little shorter than we normally do, but I'm saving a couple for this Friday. Anyway, I want to say thank you to so many of you who stopped by the booth this past weekend at the Buckeye Trading Post's Bigfoot Bash. It was great seeing you. I do appreciate it. I do think, though, that me and Mr. Buckeye Bigfoot suffered a little bit of heat exhaustion from the event. It was a very long day for us, I'll have to say. I think I laid around the house Sunday and Monday like, I don't know, some drunk garden slug that just couldn't move. But do you know what I'm doing right now? Yeah, I'm preparing for the next festival, and it's only a few weeks away, really. It's called the Spirit of the Forest Bigfoot Festival, and it's happening in Greenville, Ohio. Now, there are lots of speakers lined up on both days for that festival, including me. So if you're interested in going, I'll put the link to the festival in the video description below, or you can be sure to look up the name, The Spirit of the Forest Bigfoot Festival in Greenville, Ohio. Now be sure to look over the speakers and all the events and activities because there's quite a few going on. Now for some of them, you need to get tickets in advance. So get your tickets early for what interests you. Now this is all happening October 11th and 12th, 2024 up in Greenville, Ohio, about an hour and a half from where I'm at. So if you're in the area, I do hope to see you there. I also want to say that if you were one of the, 5 or 6 people that caught my feeble attempt at a live stream from the festival this past weekend, I'm wholeheartedly sorry. I did try to live stream, but I kept losing my internet connection out there. I mean, we were out in the sticks. Beautiful country. Yeah, internet spotty even with a hotspot. Anyway, I just wanted to say I did try. Thank you for trying to watch as well. Very sorry. Maybe the next one will work out better. All right, well, I think that's going to call it another journey to Sasquatch Valley successful and done. But we'll be meeting up again soon. And until we do, please always remember, absence of proof is not proof of absence. Thanks for listening.